Hi there YouTube, Extreme Trains here. So you probably noticed if you're a subscriber to the channel and the YouTube algorithm is actually working, so it means it shows you my content, that there hasn't been much content to talk about lately. And that's because unfortunately there just hasn't been a lot of Thomas merchandise coming out, and particularly Thomas merchandise that is easily available in Australia. As I think I've talked about in some of my other videos, it's very, very difficult to import a lot of Thomas merchandise because a lot of it is not sold individually item by item. So particularly Trackmaster, as well as the metal engine, push along, whatever you want to call it, items, when they are sold overseas, they are often sold just as, metal engine large or metal engine small, which means it's very, very difficult to, for example, import the characters I haven't been able to get my hands on, like Salty, Bruno, and the Troublesome Truck in the push along range, for example. So I have been scouring the interwebs to see what I can find that I am actually interested in picking up. And what I saw in an interesting twist was this set here. And you can see it's still in its original packaging, if we can call it original packaging. I have been looking at this set for some time. It's very unique. It's got the giant Thomas. It's a transforming playset. It's from the dying days of the push-along Trackmaster CGI Big World Big Adventures era of toys. And for a long time I had seen it advertised on Amazon for anywhere up to 100 Australian dollars. And then the other day I saw it for 20 if I purchased this Amazon warehouse used item. It was described as opened but complete. So let's find out what that actually means. And in this video, not only are we reviewing this Thomas transforming playset, but also we're going to have a look at what the Amazon warehouse process entails and whether or not it might be something that you can think about if you want to pick up, particularly things like this, big playsets, at a very reduced price. So what are we waiting for? Let's do it. Here is the big box. You can see we've got the Amazon warehouse packaging right there. Now this does come packed in an external packaging box, but you can see this is the kind of plastic wrap that has been applied. We're going to open that in just a second. I just want to show you so you can see that this is how I received it. If there are things missing, that wasn't me. But yeah, we can see this is what it kind of looks like. We can see Percy in there, but I can see some of the cardboard is perhaps ripped. So what are we waiting for? Let's crack this open and see what this box actually looks like. Okay, so I may have been proven wrong. I don't actually know if this Percy has been opened, but you can see that the box is certainly worse for wear. I'm also not clear that these are original, whether these were originally on there or whether they were secured by something else. You can see we've got the Thomas here. He does have a little couple of marks on him. Maybe there because it's used. Not clear, but anyway, we can see it's a 2-in-1 transforming playset, open to conform a complete playset. There we go, we've got the old Big Old Adventures on the side there. Come around to the back. Interesting how this kind of has not changed that much. 5 is die-cast friends as cargo. Yep, you can see what we kind of get here. I love these kind of sets that have some really weird kind of play features where it's, the set is the toy, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this big Thomas here as well. But you can see that's kind of what the packaging looks like. Not very exciting. It is quite beat up, but it doesn't look like there's actually anything missing, does it? You can see we get the Thomas there. It's a very reasonable size. All right, I'm gonna start ripping him out of this packaging. Let's see what we have inside this box. Okay, I'm well and truly shocked because everything in this was totally there. Well, I haven't built it yet, but we've got a sticker sheet, we've got instructions, we've got all of this stuff. I don't know why this was listed at such a low price and why it was called used, because it doesn't look like it's been used at all. Everything was properly packed inside little plastic baggies inside Annie, Clarabelle, and Thomas. So I really don't know what's going on. So what I'm going to do is let's take a look at the major components of this set, particularly being that Thomas and this Annie and Clarabelle. Then we'll put it together and see how we go. So very, very briefly, before we do that, you get a ugly style, I call this the ugly style, push along metal engine Percy. Yep, boring, don't care about that. And you also get one of these kind of plastic fantastic Trackmaster trucks with the weird cog wheels that again looks totally out of proportion with Percy. So anyway, we get that. that's not really the interesting part of this set. You get a bunch of track, you get all these bits and bobs down here, which we'll see when we put this all together. What's most interesting to me is this Thomas. It's kind of that face that was on some of the promo images where he's smirking. I really like that. It's really fun, very, very cute. We got some buffer detailing, including the coupling, but unfortunately no paint. Come around to the side. We've got all the right details here. I mean, this should notably probably be filled in black. But anyway, we've got weirdly the product code there. We've got mini style wheels, being that, you know, we've got Thomas as an 040 instead of an 060. Come around to the back, you can see we've got, again, some bit more detail. I love the core bunker detail, especially buffers, coupling hook. For storage purposes, he opens up. You can see there's quite a bit of storage space in here. And this is meant to be where you can store your engines. The instructions say you put Percy in here as well as some of these bridge supports. But otherwise, the rest is supposed to go on Annie and Clarabelle. So you can fit some more engines in there. Close it like that. Come around to the other side. There's the other side. There's the top. Again, unfortunately, we only have a sticker detail for the windscreen, cab holes, and also for the whistle. But at least this is nice and painted. And then we come around to the bottom, and that's what it looks like. On the bottom, you can see he rolls. But yeah, this is a pretty impressive looking Thomas. You can see it's quite large. There's my hand. This is one of the Tomica All Engines Go Thomases. There's a bit of a size comparison. And then if I go and get my Percy back, it's he's big. This Thomas is big. Very cool. I'm a big fan of that. Let's put him over in the corner. Let's have a look at the weird Annie and Clarabelle hybrid. This is not, I think, the first time they've done this, but I actually hate it a lot less than I thought I was going to. Obviously, it's a little bit funky because you've got the small faces here, CGI style faces, to account for the fact the track has to come out of these sections. But I think they're actually quite good faces, notwithstanding. And you can see we've kind of got this thing showing that it's two different carriages. What's the most interesting part to me is you can see there's like a shiny bit of plastic underneath in the shape of the Clarabelle name. So, like, did they name this in the factory wrong? Because you can see we got that shape of the Annie, the big A there as well. And then they had to take off the paint detail and put it back on, and then put the new printing on with the right carriages. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird thing, and I never thought, you know, who at the factory would even care if they got them back to front. So maybe that's why it was cheaper. I don't know. Come around to the roof. Obviously a little bit ridiculous because you got the track along the top there, and the Thomas and Friends logo. But you do have these little bits of detail, which is nice. Come around to the back. You can see a very, very similar, if not the same face for what is nominally Clarabelle. No coupling or anything on the back for her. We just have, again, some more sections where the track folds out. Again, two wheels, kind of mini style, and then nothing really on the bottom. And then the transformation for this character is something, I'll tell you that. It's pretty wild, actually. A lot of engineering in this toy, surprisingly. So this is what it looks like. You can see here it looks like that. And then you take the lid off. You can see it's held on by friction, but it's quite, see, difficult to get off with one hand. I'm just gonna... you can see, there you go. So it's not going to fall out straight away. That's what it looks like on the inside. And then you can undo these clips. You can see it's an absolute mess. And that is how you open it up to reveal the track section. Some interesting little bits of detail here and there. Some wheels, you know. It could be you could paint that up or get some texture and scribble that in. And then there is some more storage underneath. And you can see there's a bit of guidance as to how to store things. My understanding is you need to be very careful when you store this set to put things where it tells you to put them, otherwise they won't fit. So we will do that once we put it together. So yes, that's what the two big characters look like. To be honest, they were the things I was most interested in, and I think they are pretty cool. If you're a Thomas and Friends collector, these are definitely two very interesting items, but they also are a playset. So I'm going to do some assembly off screen, and we're going to see what this ends up looking like down on the floor. Let's go. Okay, I was not expecting to like this as a playset as much as I do, but I actually think it's really interesting and actually quite a lot of fun. Now, immediately, some of you might be keenly noticed, hang on, haven't you put some of the accessories in the wrong place? Yes, and that's something which I didn't realize at all when I bought this, but there's actually complete customizability with where you put this extra stuff. So all of these little ports are compatible with each other. So you can put Cranky over here. You could put him here. The instructions say to have Marin Station over there, but that makes no sense because you've got a Brandon dock sign. Red line, you can move this even and say, oh, I'm going to put this here. Like, it's all very much designed so that you can move things around to make it something that you like. Same with these little signs. You can put them wherever you like. You can rotate them. An excellent, excellent system. It really means you could actually reconfigure this quite a lot, which is, I think, quite surprising because there is only a limited number of ways you can combine these track sections to get the height levels that you need to make a full circuit. But the fact that you can move around the accessories, I think, adds quite a bit of play value. So what do you get when you start here? Well, you get this section of track here. This is where you've got the roof of the Annie and Clarabelle situation going on, so you just can do whatever you want there. You have some transition pieces here, so you come down like that. Then we come up around like so, and then we come on to the base of Annie and Clarabelle, and this is where we have our big play feature, which is Cranky. So we come here, we come with 2 of these little crates, which I think are quite interesting. They're quite heavy and solid, which is somewhat surprising. So you've got a male one and presumably a fish one, and you come through here, you come to this Cranky. Now, I didn't look at this Cranky when I was looking at the detailed section before, but it's actually a pretty decent looking Cranky. It's janky in that obviously he doesn't normally go over the tracks like that, but I think that's fine. You've got the detailing there on the side. You can hear you've got the clicky ratchets here. You can move his arms all the way up and down. Also got a clicky ratchet for moving him side to side. Now, he does have this huge hook on the bottom, and I found, unfortunately, the hook doesn't seem to work that well, and I'll demonstrate what I mean by that. So you've got this red wheel here that you're supposed to be able to turn to hook it. It's fine to wind it back up, and then you go, great, and then I want to put the hook down. It's a bit jerky, and you can see it kind of doesn't go down all the way. And I think it's just because this is not heavy enough. So perhaps if we hook something on, yeah, you can see how now it goes all the way to the ground. Keep going up, and back it comes. So it's just, I think this is not very heavy, so it doesn't pull the string through the system as it should. Once you've got a piece of cargo on there, though, you are sweet. And again, you've got quite a lot of flexibility to move that around. So I think that is actually quite good. And then, again, we've looked at those details before, but you just push your little Percy through here. Under he goes, and then he's going to come around, and we're back at the start. So I think this is actually quite good. In terms of a playset, you can really get a sense of the options that you could really get out of this set, and you can do quite a bit of reconfiguration. In terms of compatibility, there should be no reason why, and I'm just going to demonstrate this now as well. If I get a bigger all engines go, I'm just going to focus on it. No, it doesn't want to focus. There we go. Toby on here, you can see, of course, the track is the same. Toby's just so heavy, but let's just put him underneath. He still fits under all the bridges here. I don't know whether a motorized Thomas all engines go toy would fit, but certainly the push-along engines and even the really big ones have no problem in getting around this track. So I actually think this is quite a good playset. I think it has quite a lot of functions, and I think there's quite a lot of opportunity. And importantly, you've got a loop of track. And that's something which a lot of newer toys don't do that well, or at least they didn't during this period. There's no gimmicks. You've got a loop of track. You've got some hills. You can do some crashes. You can have the engines go by themselves. You've got loading with Cranky there. You've got a bit of customizability. This one's ticking all the boxes. To be honest, the most disappointing thing about this set is the Percy and the truck. I don't like these trucks. I think they look really ugly, and I don't like these engines. But that said, I'm glad they included a Percy in here, not a Thomas, given that we have the giant Thomas, which you don't need for the playset. So, reach off screen to get him. You also can have this to play with simultaneously while you have all of this to play with as well. So this one, actually, double thumbs up from me. Let's go back up to the desk for some final thoughts. So, what do I think of the 2-in-1 Transforming Thomas playset? I think this is excellent. I I'm really surprised because I saw some reviews online from other Thomas YouTubers that it was no good, that they thought it was a bit too weird and a bit funky and like strange. I think this is fantastic. It's exactly the kind of innovation that I think you want. It's giving very much take and play vibes from back in the day. I think, the playability as well as the functionality of the big Thomas and the big Annie and Clarabelle is fantastic. You can play with them. You can also store things in them. But then the set you build, I think, is actually pretty reasonable. It's interesting enough. It's got a loop. It's got some play functions and some customizability, which is a lot more you can say than for quite a lot of the, particularly the Trackmaster powered sets at the time. And I think that means it's a tick, tick, tick. I'm surprised they haven't re-released this in an all engines go theme, because the kind of craziness of having a train set inside the train fits a lot better conceptually with all engines go, I think, than with the original series, if we can call the CGI Wobber part of that. And I think probably the biggest letdown for collectors is going to be just the bog standard ugly version of the wide push along Percy and the truck, which is a bit uninspiring. But otherwise, I think this is a fantastic set, and I also am extremely impressed by the fact that I picked this up through Amazon Warehouse for, and again, not sponsored, for $20 Australian, which was, up to 80% off, given I saw this retailing for up to $100 in Australia. So I don't know if that's the normal experience with Amazon Warehouse. Please let me know if you have had experience with it yourself, particularly in Australia. But yeah, I don't know why they were selling it so cheap. The box was a bit crumpled, but otherwise everything else is fine. It all works. It's all there. And I think it was a great deal. So I'm very excited to finally add particularly this big Thomas into my Thomas collection. Love to hear your comments down in the below. Otherwise, that's all we've got time for. A very quick addendum to this video. I went back and looked at some of the other reviews I've seen of this that talked about how it's very difficult to pack this up so that everything fits. I completely disagree with that. The instructions are quite clear as to what needs to go where. Essentially, as I said in the start of the video, the engines and the supports for the bridges go in Thomas, and then you have kind of all the buildings and stuff go in the bottom of Annie and Clarabelle, and then the tracks go in the top. And really, there's actually quite a bit of wiggle room. I did a couple of different configurations in that general vein and managed to get everything to fit. So I think this is actually quite an elegant solution to storage. And while, I understand that perhaps a kid who is, 1 or 2 playing with this might not be able to do it, it's certainly not something that if you were a parent, for example, that you would need to look at. Once you've done it once, you know how to do it. And I think older kids, that's part of the puzzle, and is working out exactly how you put everything together to make it all fit. So in my view, I think this is actually done extremely well. And then as you can see, when they're all together, it all packs up really nicely. Nothing's coming out. And I think this is the money shot. It looks fantastic, with the little Thomas at the front there, with Annie and Clarabelle behind. Yeah, this is a winner playset for me. I haven't been so impressed with a new Thomas and Friends product for a very long time, but this is going to be one of those ones that I say, if you see this, pick it up. I don't believe it's currently in production still. It's from given it's the old era of Thomas, but particularly if you see it online for a good price, get this one. It is absolutely worth it. And I admit that before I pack this back up again, I spent a good half an hour playing around with it and I had a lot of fun. So this one is highly recommended. Now that's all we've got time for. This is Extreme Trains.